Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. In this video, we will going to learn about a presentational and container component design pattern. So basically, let's understand why need this type of a design in a React. So with the time, our application will going to grow. So we need some kind of separation of concerns between our components. So where we can divide the responsibility. So we can divide the some kind related UI steps. We can divide those components separately, and those components which will going to handle the some data logics where those components going to interact with the HTTP services and going to downloads and will going to change the stuff like updating the data and mutations, these kind of a things. So we need this kinds of a separation, so it will help with the times. So whenever we need any kind of whenever we wants to add any new responsibility, whenever we wants to add the existing behaviors of our application, we can easily go to that containers, and we can easily distinguish between where these things we need to add. If we need to add some kinds of only view change, then we can go to the direct to the presentational components, and where we can change that things. So let's start with the exact first presentational component. So these are the components, kind of a dumb components, only will going to handle the UI related stuff. Basically you can understand these are the pure components. So these components will not going to handle any data related stuff. These components will not going to interact with our services. These components will going to receive some data as a props, and these components will going to display all those data on the UI. Basically you can just relate this thing as just these container will going sorry these components will going to have only view related stuffs. Just like an example, you can understand list items and users profile, these kinds of things. So on the other hand, we have container components. So container components you can relate like those are the components who will going to interact with services, will going to invoke the downstream services and passing those data after enriching this data to the some components. And these are the components basically you can understand if we are using some kind of a state management in our application. So these are the component who will going to interact with our state management and updating and mutating the states. These kind of stuffs we will going to handle inside the container components. So now understand like this. So we have divided all the component in two groups. First is the presentational component, second is the container component. Presentational components is like dumb components which will going to handle only UI related stuff. Basically you can say that these component will not going to have any kind of state, means a data state. These components will going to contain a UI related states only. Just think like that, if we have a one checkbox, so checkbox is on and off, maybe this kind of states these presentational components can contain, but cannot contain related to the data related states. On the other hand, we will going to have the container components. So these container components will going to handle all the basically all the work which is related to our application. Just you can think like all the business kinds of stuff, downloadings data and some kind of intelligence work. So the benefit of this approach, if you see, we have now a better separations of a concern. In the futures when our applications will grow, we know that which type of components we need to update. So basically we have a completely separation of concern. We have two kinds of content, we can easily distinguish between these two types. So and also it's helped the designers also work parallelly. So designers can work directly on the presentational components without bothering about any kind of a logics and how this component will going to get the data, anything. They can easily work on the presentation components without changing to the any logic of the applications. and it's provide the better reusability. Just think like that. Now we have a presentational components which are the dumb components. These components will going to receive data, whenever they components fire any kinds of state change, they will going to call callbacks. So any container components can reuse these presentational component if we need a same kind of functionality with a different data. Just think like that. If we want to list the users and if we want to list the products, so we will going to have a one list kind of a presentational components, and both containers, users containers and product containers, can reuse the same components. So this is the this type of a reusability will going to leverage this kinds of designs. I hope this clear for you. If it is not clear, then no need to be worry. We will going to start with a code, and when we write the code, we will explain each and everything, and that during the coding parts, everything will going to be clear for you. So let's start with the code. So this is the basic project. I just created this using a create react app, and I have deleted everything and just added this header. So for understanding a presentational and container component in a depth, so what we will going to use? So this is the basic. This is are the public API provided by the SpaceX. So we will going to use this API for fetching this mission record, and we will going to display this record on our React application. So if you see, it's provide just array, and array will going to contain 10 items, and it is type of a object array. So every object will going to have this data. So here if you understand this thing, so this is the things we need to implement. So how we will going to approach these things? So fetching the data and enriching the data and passing this data, passing this data to the any child components. So this is the responsibility of our container components, and the responsibility of presentation component is just to present this data to the users. The presentation component will going to receive this data from a containers and will going to present this data to the end users. So let's start with this. So inside src, first we will going to create a components folder. Inside the components, let's create a mission folder. Inside mission, let's create a first component mission container .jsx, and here let's import react first thing. So for now we will going to just returning, we will going to just return missions from here. So for now we will going to just represent just going to return missions from here, and let's include this thing, this components in our app component. So mission container, yeah, and this component will going to in itself complete whosoever's need this kind of functionality, they just need to include this components, and this component will going to do everything in itself. So so here first things we will going to do, we will going to make a axios request. So let's import axios. Axios is very good library for performing a http request. So first we need a internal state for storing missions. So let's initialize state, use state, and initially this will going to contain a empty array, and after that we need one more state for storing pending uh, status. When we fetch the request, so pending state will going to be the true, and once we receive the data, or once we receive any error, in that case we will going to mark this pending as false. And this is for tracing error status. So during a http request, if any error is occurred, then this we will going to mark this state as true. So let's import use effect. So when our component will going to be mount, at that time we need to perform a http request. So this is the equivalence to component did mount. So we will not going to pass any dependency. So basically we need to perform we need to issue this axios request only one time. So axios dot get. So here we can pass the URL. So this is the URL we need to pass. So let's copy this and paste it here. Yeah, and axios will going to return a promise. So we can use then function for receiving the data. So this will going to return the response. So here we can do one thing. Let's console log response dot data, and once we receive this data, let's set missions. Here we will going to set like a response dot data. Yeah, and after that we need to mark pending stage to false. Now we have successfully downloaded the data. In case of a catch, we need to mark set pending to false. First thing, our HTTP request has been resolved, and after that we need to mark set error stage to a true. We have a error. Yeah, and now on a screen we can do one thing. Let's remove this thing, and here, yeah, first thing, if pending is true, we need to display some message fetching missions. Yeah, if error is true, then we need to display some message on UI error occurred. And once we receive the data successfully, after that we need to call our presentational component. Our that presentational component will going to render this view on screen. So here we will going to display our uh, presentational component mission list, some kind of a thing. Yeah, so let's see on a screen how it's looking like. So here if you see, we are displaying mission list. It's a successful, and this is the data we are getting from this API. So this is just the array, and this is the data we will going to receive. So now for displaying our missions, let's create one more component, mission list. So this will going to display all the list of missions. So let's import React from React const mission list. So here just think like that. The responsibility of this component just to render missions. So this will going to receive a missions as a prop from a parent. So here let's export default mission list. So this will going to very easy dumb kind of a component. So here we just need to iterate over this list missions. So it will going to provide missions. So for every mission we just need to display we just need to return some view. So here for now we will going to just return mission underscore name for now. So let's import this inside a container. Let's remove this thing. Let's import this, and here we can pass missions as a prop to our mission list. Yeah. Let's include this. Yeah. So here if you see we are fetching the data, and once we fetch the data we are passing to a missions list, and the responsibility of mission list to provide the view to the end user, how we will going to represent missions, and how we will going to present these things to the end users. So let me refresh this. So if you see, we are displaying like fetching missions. Once the call is completed, after that we are displaying the records. So here if you see, it is throwing an error, keys required things. So here I have a task for you. Pause the video and try to explain why React mandatory these things. Whenever we iterating over any list and we are producing some kinds of a view, this key is very mandatory things. If we don't pass this, and React will going to throw an warning, hey, key is the mandatory thing, why it is like this. So it is the task for you. Please read more about these things. So I can give you a hint. On a React documentations, there is a one article related to a reconciliation, so where they have explained how React perform the detect change algorithm. So whenever any changes happen in any components, how React will going to detect that change in order of n time instead of order of n queue. So by using these key, so React totally depends on the developers will going to help the Reacts by providing this key. Whenever a key value will going to be the same, React will going to assume that nothing has changed. It's a old view, and React will going to use the old view instead of manually checking, instead of checking for that view, is there any change or not. So it's a very good practice for providing the key. And please make sure whenever your component is changing, your key should also the change. Otherwise React will not going to display the latest changes on screen. Yeah, so here we have included the mission list. So let's move to the mission list. So here just think like that, we will going to receive the missions, and for this here we are just iterating over the missions. So for presenting for producing the view for every missions, we need some kind of list items. So let's create another components. Name of this component is mission list item. The responsibility of this component just to produce the view for mission. Yeah, const mission list item. And now this component will going to receive as a prop mission. Yeah, so here we will going to return one div, and let's include a class name like a mission hyphen list hyphen item. Yeah, so let's display first thing mission name. Just think like that, if we segregate all the responsibility like this, how easy will going to perform the TDD in this scenario. So first we need to write the test cases for the missions list, what the responsibility of mission list, and what kind of a view it will going to present, what data we will going to show on these things. So when we complete these things, we can write easily test cases for the mission list, and after that we can write the test case for the missions container. So writing the for testing these things is very easy. So I hope you are realizing this thing. So it's very good thing. So here let's display a Wikipedia link. Here we can pass, let me, okay, href, and here it will going to be missions.wikipedia, and we need to open this in a new tab. So for that we can pass the target blank. Whenever we pass the target, and at that time we need to pass that ref thing also. Let me show you. If we hover over, so it is going to say we need to pass non-referral attribute also along with the blank target. Yeah, and after that let's display description. Here we can pass missions dot description. Yeah, So now inside the missions list, let's remove this thing, and we will going to use a mission list item, and this item will going to receive missions, and let's pass mission as a prop, and let's add a key missions dot mission underscore id. Okay, so here we have completed uh, uh, with the implementation of a mission feature. So let's understand these things again. So if you see the responsibility of this container just to download the missions, and if there we need to perform any kind of a transformation, just think like that. If we are receiving some date and we need to transform date in some readables, basically maybe we need to convert on the June base also, so we can perform all these kind of enrichment of the data inside the container. And once we done with that, after that we need to pass this data to our presentational containers. So if you see, whenever we want to reuse this mission list, we can also reuse these things, and whoever need who in any place where we want to show this missions list, we can directly put that missions container, and in itself mission container is complete components. So for these things, it's if you see every http state every http call will going to have a three status in general, like in pending, in error, and in a successful scenario. So we will going to learn later state management for this thing. So we will going to create a use status some component, that component will going to handle all these things, so we don't need to do like this. So because this is some things we need throughout the whole application, so it's a good to handle all these things in a one place instead of putting this kinds of a code in every container. So I hope it's clear for you and you find out presentational container components useful. So I really encourage you, if it is the new thing for you, so please read more about this thing, and this is the widely adopted design in React. So please read more about these things, and it's very useful. So I hope you like my explanation for the presentation and container components. So please subscribe to my channels and like this video. Thank you.